Welcome, dear viewers, to CouchWarrior TV on YouTube. This is the CouchWarrior, and you are watching the continuing adventures of Sagramour, Mortal Blade. So, what is up, everybody? In the last video, that was really just me doing a voiceover, kind of letting you know where we are with things. As if you remember, we have re-spec'd and re-kitted Sagramour. I did this using a mod. As I explained before, I did this using a mod that lets me reassign perks. And really what I did was just kind of refine a little bit what I was doing with my perks, especially on the magic side of things. I have really focused quite a bit more on alteration. So if you remember, before we were investing in restoration, I still think that restoration is potentially a worthwhile investment, but my view now is that alteration really is the way to go. And we don't have to invest a ton here. I think at a minimum, what we would need is novice, apprentice, and then if possible, all 3 levels of magic resistance. I've really only got 1 of those so far. You are going to sort of methodically gain levels in alteration as long as you're using the, stone skin and, steel skin or the various mage armor protection spells. Dual casting is something I also opted for, given the fact that mage armor really only applies for those people who are wearing no armor. We're not going to invest in that at all, but we can amp up the power of our armor spells by dual casting them. Now, I haven't done that yet. I've really been playing him where spells are concerned more like a spell sword, so he drops the shield long enough to either cast a healing spell or a mage armor spell and then is right back to the shield and into the battle again. So I have not had occasion yet to dual cast alteration, but I think that, when things really get bad combat-wise, that would be probably a good thing to do, especially if we've got a little bit of time to prepare. So, anyway, the long and the short of it is that after, having spent some time with this configuration, going through some fights and stuff like that, I've come to the conclusion that it really is a worthwhile investment. The mage armor spells give us just that extra edge that we need when it comes to protection from all kinds of damage, not just physical damage. And the cool thing about magic resistance is once we have these perks, it makes that 10, 20, or 30% of magic resistance kind of an innate thing. It's just part of us at that point, which means at that point, I will be able to respec my gear even further. Because at the moment, the hood that Sagramour is wearing has been invested with a resist magic enchantment. So at this point, I really kind of need it so that I can get closer to that 85% ceiling that we're trying to hit. But the fact is that once I have all 3 levels in alteration and magic resistance, it will offset anything I'm doing with that hood, and I will be able to basically create a new hood with a completely different enchantment that may have some extra benefit to us that we could use. So, it's all good, man. It's all good. So I'm really liking the change at this point. I think healing has to come from somewhere. And we've determined that Sagramour is not an alchemist. We would have to invest fairly heavy in alchemy. I mean, I think... Let's take a look. So the question is always healing. Is it better for us to, say, invest a couple of levels in restoration and acquire things like regeneration and respite, which would be a total of 3 perks? Or do we invest in alchemy, where we have to do several levels here, and then we have to invest in physician if we really want to have good healing potions. Benefactor as well, I suppose. So we're talking about here probably, you know, an investment of potentially 5 perks here, 6, 7 perks. When I compare that against restoration, where we can make an investment here, we could make an investment in dual casting if we wanted to, but at a minimum, I think we could get by with 3 perks here and do pretty well. And if we've come to the conclusion that we're going to do some stuff to buff Magicka anyway, it means we should have the reserves to try to keep ourselves healthy. One of the things that we've talked about quite often in this character concept series is the idea that Sagramour might... We've already seen that he finds the use of things like poisons and so forth abhorrent, and so for me the idea of him investing any time in alchemy at all just doesn't seem like something this character would do. So we're just going to stay away from the alchemy tree. We do make use of potions, but we make use of potions that we find or purchase, and that's really the extent of it. Otherwise, we are kind of learning to be somewhat reliant on restoration. Now, what are we going to do today? Well, today we are going to kill spiders like that. Very nice. All right. What we're going to do today is we have the lexicon in our hands, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to go relieve ourselves of the lexicon. So we're going to go to Avanchenzel, which is up here somewhere. Come on now. Okay. And what does that get us? Well, returning the lexicon is going to give us a smithing buff, which is great, which means that is also another reason why, a reason why we might respec some of our gear in the near future. So, at least try to go back to the smithing stations and improve it further. Remember, we're concerned about defense here, and our defense really has to be very complete. We can't... When we're fighting dragons, we're getting a lot of physical damage and a lot of magicka damage and so forth. So we are reliant in this build on a combination of both physical armor and magical armor, whether it's mage armor spells or magic resistance in general. So anything that we can do to make our armor even better is certainly a worthwhile pursuit. So since we're in the area, I'm going to go ahead and do that. This will be a nice little dungeon crawl, I think. Plus, it's a kind of the first opportunity for me to walk through a dungeon with you all in commentary mode now that we've got respect perks and new gear. So we'll get to see the performance of all of this.
Watched.
You are.
Job, Drennan. We get in,
Sagramour is watching.
we leave. Don't get jumpy.
If you two cannot handle this, we can find others to hire.
Enough. Their services will be more than adequate. Let us continue.
All right. Off we go. Well, not bad. Let's take a look. Let's evaluate here. A little bit of a bump to the health, but nothing significant. A little bit of bump to our magicka because the damage we took was from lightning. Shock damage depletes magicka. However, our setup here is, I think, going to do a good job of helping us get through some of the worst of it. If you remember, we've got 2 Dragon Priest masks on our belt here. One of them is giving us some protection against lightning, and the other one is giving us a nice bonus on our stamina, giving us more stamina to work with.
It's unbelievable.
Indeed. Avanchanzel is as much a library as it is a city, built to hold the vast memories of
Let's go have a look. Whoa, he came right through that door. I'd like to have some filled soul gems. Remember, Sagramour is a character who also does not go around collecting souls on his own. He uses whatever he can find. That's the same way with potions. It's not necessarily because he has any moral objection to soul gems. It's just because it's not something he does. Very nice. The small ones, the common, lesser, petty soul gems, are going to be good for helping us continue to advance our levels in enchanting, which is always good. This goes out to Skyrim, right? Yes, it does. Let's go here. Have a look. Sorry, fella. Like a bad way to go. All right, let's continue. Ah, that combination works so well. So well, I can't even handle it. The charging power attack, followed by the block to set them off, followed by the side power attack, and I always circle around the same direction. That's what feels the most natural. However, the left power attack is a little bit different. It seems to take longer to execute. At least that's been my experience. So when I'm circling around my opponent, I'm moving my mouse around them, but also pushing the mouse forward as well to try to keep them well within range so the attack will hit. I also like the backward power attack as well, but it's difficult to land It's easiest to land when you get locked into combat with an opponent where there's a lot of shield bashing and slow moving and sizing up and stuff. It's one of those that I have to be careful when I attempt it. If I just kind of attempt it randomly and I'm not using my brain, more often than not I will miss with it, so I kind of save it for special occasions. Very specific situations, I guess. Diminishing. Okay, we already have that enchantment in our library. Right. Now you may have noticed that I also bothered to improve our lockpick. The reason I did that was because I'm not entirely sure how the lockpicking overhaul works. So, as you know, I'm smashing locks, and somehow it's determining how the lock holds up against the damage that I'm doing. So I figured the more damage that the hammer did, the better off we would be. So I went ahead and upgraded the thing to legendary or epic or whatever. And the irony of it is that our lockpick actually has higher base damage than our sword. However, our sword still does more damage because of some of the perks we've taken, the bladesman perks and stuff that give us some buffs towards one hit too many. It's one of those things I really try to practice at. I try to get as efficient as I can with my attacks in these situations. It's a great opportunity to practice because you know that time is coming when we're completely surrounded and every swing counts, and the faster we deplete our stamina, the more likely we are to be just completely screwed. So that one, I just beat it to death. Nothing fancy there. Let's... That one didn't connect. That one didn't connect either. There we go. It's gratifying to see that, at least with these little guys, we're not taking too much health damage with those bursts. Alright, I think I may have depleted the enchantment on my sword, so we're going to take some of these little soul gems and we're going to recharge here momentarily. Let's just have a quick look around. Huh. That looks like bad news, doesn't it? Yep. I may be hosed on that one, I'm not sure. Let me think about that for a minute. All right, let's have a look. Oathkeeper. Yes, Oathkeeper is just about depleted. So we're going to stick Common Soul Gem in there. And what do we got? Greater, Grand, another Common. Common. All right. Now, up to this point, I had not been playing with enchanted weapons, so having enchanted weapons now is something a little bit new. I've been fairly selective about the enchantments. As you can see, I'm opting for Absorb Stamina. Pretty obvious why I would do that. It doesn't do quite as much damage to your opponent's stamina as Destroy Stamina does, but it depletes stamina, and grants that stamina back to us so that as we're fighting, we're recovering stamina at the same time, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a good thing. Okay, we are going to trip this, and then we are going to bugger out of here, like, fast. Whoop. Oh, that's not how that works, is it? I gotta open the door and bugger out quick. Woo! Okay. I don't want to pass this one up, you know, because it has a master lock on it, so you would think there'd be something particularly nice in here. Peerless archery. Minor destruction, don't need it. Archery, don't need it. Don't need either one of these for the enchantment. It's just a question of whether or not it's worth taking to sell it. Anything peerless, I guess I'll keep that. All right. Now I also put an enchantment on our Sanctified Blade. And in that particular case, I opted for absorbing health. I think. It was either absorb health or damage health. Which was it? Strider's Claymore. Yeah, absorbing health. So, figured, given that we basically have almost no levels in two-handed, if we pull that thing out in a dragon battle, it might be good to get a little extra damage out of it. So
Zell is waiting.
Waiting for what?
No one seems to know. Perhaps the return of the Dwemer. Perhaps the end of the world.
Best get rid of the ones we see, just in case.
Ah, they smashed him up. Probably a good idea. Anything left? Sure. Man, I wish some of these soul gems were filled. I wish more of them were filled. Ooh, that's good. Now that I've got enchanted weapons, I've got a whole nother concern, right? About keeping them enchanted, which means I've got to charge them. So at this point, we're level 41 on our way to 42. We crossed the threshold to level 40 going through Foral Host. And then, when I went back and re-spec'd all the armor, I basically created entirely new armor. I smithed it up. I enchanted it. I made brand new smithing gear so that I could be sure I was getting the best bonuses I could possibly get. And through that entire process, gained quite a few levels, which took me up to the top end of level 40. And then the little bandit raid that I did on Falder's Tooth in the last episode took me up over the next level. So there was some pretty quick advancement there. If we look at the settings very quickly here, still playing on Master. I will tell you though that I really felt the increase in difficulty at level 40. Come on. I know you're here. Come on.
I'm staying.
I told you, we should have
Gotcha.
hired a thief.
We are thieves, you fool. We're stealing the cube.
And yet none of us can pick a damn lock.
Can't pick that lock? Well, we can pick it. We'll pick the hell out of that lock. Easy peasy. Can't believe I just said that. All right. My kids like to embellish that with a little bit of a lemon squeezy as well. I don't know that I've gotten to that point yet. Ring of Recharging. Magicka regenerates 40% faster. That could be handy. Now, we found one of those in Fort Greenwall as well. But at that time, I wasn't thinking about re-speccing, so I sold it. We're going to keep this one just in case. Never know. All right. Come on, Sag. Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm assuming we can bash these open. Yeah. Thank you, Jessa, for the tip on the mod sound effects. Just a little checkbox is all it was, but I love having that sort of audible sensation of crushing the lock. Plus, it also lets me know when I've been successful. What I discovered is that if you don't get the lock the first time, you can keep bashing it. I didn't know that. I thought it was kind of a one-and-done thing. But yeah, you can keep bashing it until eventually you get it open. The more difficult the lock is, the more times you got to bash it. I'd like to think that the effort that I put into increasing the damage on that hammer is helping us with that, but I don't know for sure.
This place is huge.
It is large indeed. I did uncover the entrance. A few hours sleep, and we should be ready to continue through.
Sag's listening.
Maybe we should turn back. I don't want to sleep here.
Drennan, you do
You may have noticed that his full name is Sagramour of Longmarsh.
accumulated memories of centuries.
The reason for that is,
Not to mention our pay.
at the time I created him, I really didn't know what I wanted for a surname, so I kind of treated him as if he were actually a knight,
Besides,
where
you're not scared of a few
part of his name
sneaky
consists
metalheads
of where
guarding
he's
the
from. So I just kind of made something up in my head called Longmarsh, and that is kind of the area of Cyrodiil that he comes from. In case you didn't know that, he grew up in Cyrodiil, so he is a Nord who is also a transplant to Skyrim, so part of his experience is not only exploring Skyrim, but discovering a bit more about his heritage and so forth. Man, this one I don't know if I can outrun. Seems sketchy. Ah, we took one shot. Ooh, that hurts. All right. We're going to be loaded for bear on soul gems here. Sagramour is a man of literature. Ooh, restoration. That's a good increase. He's a man of learning. Formal education. So everything that he knows of the world is things that he's learned on his own, either from experience or from reading or from interaction with others, things like that. If you haven't read the brief little backstory, I created a small backstory for an episode of the Character Crusade podcast, and it's linked in the show notes for every episode of Mortal Blade, and it's really just a half a page kind of outlining who he was before coming to Skyrim, giving a little bit of insight. He is basically a farm boy. He is a farm boy, and the characteristics of Sagramour are that he's big, he's strong, he has a certain kind of innate wisdom. He's got what I would consider to be a very intense work ethic, which he used to apply towards farm work, and now he applies to his blade and his mission. His mission is, I think, we've talked about this before. We've talked a little bit about kind of the difference between his objectives and his causes, you know, and Sagramour's cause is he's a defender. He's a defender of the weak. He's a defender of the weak, and that desire to defend the defenseless all right. That desire to defend those who can't defend themselves comes from a deep and abiding sense of personal failure. And if you read that brief little background, you'll kind of understand where that sense of failure comes from. It's a sense that he let his family down when the time came when he needed to be strong, when he needed to be able to defend his family. He wasn't capable of doing that. And so now he's basically determined that if he doesn't want that to happen ever again, he needs to spend his life preparing himself for what's to come. And while he doesn't necessarily know exactly what's to come, he knows that there are innumerable threats to the citizens of Skyrim and Tamriel out there. And he feels a sense of obligation to do something about it. So that's really it in a nutshell. I mean, all the effort he puts in is all kind of revolving around that deep-seated cause. So when we go on missions like this, I kind of tend to classify missions in a couple of different ways. There's a mission to eliminate a threat, and then there's a mission to acquire knowledge that's going to help him in his war. And this I would consider to be one of those little adventures that's about strengthening him for the war. When he's fighting the dragons, when he's fighting the dragon priests, when he's fighting vampires, those are battles in his war. This is more of a battle of personal growth, if you will. Because he's not a guy who, by default, is like bent on adventure and exploration. This isn't about exploration. This isn't about adventure for him. This is about acquisition of knowledge and experience and the tools that he's going to need to actually fight the war. So
I said they were waiting
he's already won one war, which was the Civil War,
to try and take the
and
Lex.
he's looking for the next war, which is, let's win this war against the dragons. You know? It's kind of what it's all about for him. No traps. No Falmer either. That's the interesting thing about this one. You get kind of a little break from the Falmer. Now, this one is interesting to me because they're just dwarven spiders, but there's a lot of them. And if I'm in the middle of some kind of an onslaught here, getting nailed with shock spells from every direction, I could see having some difficulty. So there we go. Alteration increased to 38. Yep, see, there we go. We're getting that lightning damage. Who's next? Woo! Ho-ho! Woo! Nice. Ah. Take a rest, Sag. Look around. I don't want to look around. This place is dumb. Let us look around. You might find something cool. Alright, fine. I don't see anything over there. What do you want me to look for? This place is dumb. Just relax. Just relax a little bit. Fine. I'll look around. Oh, look, it's a spider. Big deal. All right. Like a bonanza for people who are into Dwemer gear. All kinds of things to scavenge and melt down in here. So some folks have been asking me, what's going on with 5 Fables, CouchWarrior? Nothing. Nothing is going on with 5 Fables. Nothing in terms of nothing's changed about it, and nothing in terms of I'm not doing nothing. No, yeah, I'm not doing anything with it right now. To be honest with you, I'm taking a break from the intensity of that series, and well, it seems like all I'm doing is playing Skyrim and, you know, making build videos and all this stuff. This is the beginnings of a larger experiment for me to learn whether or not I have the talent necessary to do a roleplay based commentary. By that I mean an actual adventure where I'm speaking in character all the time and I'm speaking the character's lines sort of improvisationally as I'm playing. I've not really done that before. The reason I'm interested in finding out if I have those chops or not is because if I do, I think it would be great to apply that to Robard, and that would allow me to accelerate how I tell his story. It means I would not have to do quite so much script writing to tell his story. And to be honest with you, as much as I love to write, it's more often than not when that story gets delayed, it's delayed because of the script writing. Because I either don't have the time to do it, or I flat out run out of the desire to do it. So Mortal Blade has been an effort for me to just kind of figure out the technical aspects and pitfalls of recording commentary as I'm playing. Because those of you who've been following my channel know that I haven't done that since the Book of Sable, which was my very first Let's Play, and the success was marginal at best. But that was a long time ago, and I was far less comfortable on the mic than I am now. Now you can't get me to shut up, so... So now the question is, what would happen if I did a Let's Play like this, speaking in character, basically role-playing the whole time, rather than talking about the technical aspects of the game and what I'm doing? That's the interesting part. So my plan is, with the introduction of Vander the Rune Runner, that also is going to be a Let's Play, but much more role-play focused than this one is. And we'll kind of gradually ease into it and see how I feel.
Once we have the lexicon, we'll need to take it to its podium. I know what to do from there.
Take it to its podium.
Knowledge will be mine.
Oh.
Ours. Soon the lexicon's knowledge will be ours.
Of course.
Of course. These people are fools. Fools indeed. All right. Okay. Wow. Unrelenting force didn't affect him at all. That's interesting. Guess it kind of makes sense. Imminent destruction. Some reasonably good loot in here. I don't know if that's part of the same spider or what. How about you? 2 soul gems. You know what somebody should do? Just create a mod with some kind of magical chest. You just put your empty soul gems in it, and then you, like, wait a week or something like that, and you come back and they're charged up.
Quickly.
Something.
There is a mod in Winter Mist that allows you to do that, but you do it with a ring.
Wait.
I don't need anything like that. You could actually do it like the Dawn Guard DLC, you know, how you can fill grand soul gems when you, I don't know, forget what that, oh, when you go to the soul cairn. Yeah, you can drop an empty black soul gem into the little receptacle, and then the lightning hits the lightning rod and charges the gem and all that business. You could do a similar thing. All right. Here we go. Are we ready to fight a Centurion? Master difficulty. Oh, Wow. Okay, just fighting one, right? Okay. I was a little concerned there. All right. What has he got for ranged attacks? Steam, probably. Yeah, there's the steam business. I didn't... Stun. Bam! Bam! Okay. Whoo! That was close. Now, one of the things I forget sometimes is... when I went up to level 41, I snagged the Savage Strike perk, which allows me a pretty nice damage bonus if I do a standing power attack. However, I have to remember to do that because most of the time I'm moving around. As a warrior, I generally tend to be pretty mobile. So it's sort of counterintuitive for me to just stand and do a power attack and not be moving at the same time, but I remembered it that time. All right, here's the last death. All right, let's... All right, we've got this thing. Let's activate it. Ancient knowledge added. Sweet. Nice. Let's, All right, ancient knowledge. 25% bonus when wearing dwarven armor. No thanks. And blacksmithing increases 15% faster. Ah. Well, that doesn't help us a lot. I don't think. I mean, we're already... Smithing is kind of up there. I mean, we're already at level 84. I guess we'll max it out faster this way, and I'm never in a million years wearing dwarven armor, so that ain't happening. That's all right. Light, please. Thank you. True shot. Undead up to level 30. Flee. I already have the enchantment, but the mace is worth something. Already got the spell, and I'm not really into bows. Not yet. Let's go. Alright. Where does this dump us out? Okay, yeah, we know where we are. Go up this way. Well, thank you, everybody. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching another episode of Mortal Blade. I am guessing that the next episode that you watch of Mortal Blade, we are going to be doing a Character Crusade cooperative playthrough with Joe at the helm. So I think through the course of this adventuring, we've set Joe up pretty well to be successful. And when last I talked to him, he was talking about doing Sarthal with Sagramour, which could be kind of interesting. So I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to seeing you again later.